3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the One Question Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of learning and development with leading experts. Now, joining us today is Scott Biegel, who's the Principal Solutions Consultant for Adobe Digital Learning Solutions, with over 23 years of experience in the industry of training adults. Now, he's had experience as a college professor. He's also been working in the learning technology sales and consulting with several very well-known companies in the industry, and now is working with Adobe, focusing on e-learning solutions. So Scott, we really appreciate you being here.
Rob, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
That's great. So we're going to jump right into this and hit you with the question right away. Okay.
I'm ready.
So today's question for you is, what are the most effective training approaches for adults in the public sector?
Yeah, no, thanks, Rob. I think that as we dive into that question, we have to talk a little bit about training adults as a whole. So we'll tie it to the public sector here in just a minute, but training adults is not an easy task. And a lot of people will ask me, are we crazy to do this? Is it that difficult? Actually, it's so difficult that Malcolm Knowles put together a theory around it, and you can get a master's degree on actually how to train adults. And so what we want to do is we want to tie that into, that public sector audience. And so basically what this theory talked about was how to train adults most effectively for knowledge transfer. So that's the key, right? Is transferring that knowledge from me to you. And what came out of this research was around the fact that adults are self-directed. They like small bits and chunks of training. In the old days, we used to call them curriculums, where you do a bunch of different trainings to receive that certificate of completion. Now they're branding that micro learnings, where the human brain needs a break every 5 minutes or so, or it'll lose the information that it just acquired. And so when you build e-learning as an author, you'll find that every third slide needs some type of interaction. That goal-oriented structure of training, what skill am I going to be acquiring today, is absolutely critical. And this is actually quite a bit of a challenge too, as we move into the digital learning space for training adults, is that no one gets excited about taking training, and we have all kinds of distractions, especially now that many public sector folks are working from home. So I like to call it the distraction machine, but it's really that we have to break out our training into these smaller chunks to get that most effective approach, which is what you asked me. And really, it's just back to that simplicity, right? So, we should have 3 clicks or less in the e-learning course. Navigation needs to be simplified for the user. That's the number 2 complaint of the adult learner, Rob, is I don't know where to click on the screen, right? And then I need to be engaged. Yeah. Sure. I need to be engaged in that training too. So whether it's like what we're doing in a virtual classroom setting or it's e-learning, don't give me a slide full of bullets. I'm not going to retain it. I'm not going to listen. I need a voice to narrate that to me. And so these are some of the things that came out of that adult learning theory. But in any event, it really actually doesn't matter if it's public sector or private sector. It's, as we've progressed in the technology world and applied that to learning and training programs, we've also need to adjust the way in which we deliver that content. And so we're seeing that done. And I think these slides help with answering how we can be most effective in that training approach.
So we really appreciate taking the time to share your expertise with us, Scott.
You got it. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate the question.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And to our listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences on this topic. By all means, share your own questions as well. We'd be happy to see who might be able to answer them for you. Head over to our LinkedIn page to answer today's poll and join the discussion. And don't forget to tune in again for another insightful episode of the One Question Podcast. Thanks for listening.